Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live. Radio Free Brooklyn. It's the best in the world. Ben Lewis, Addie the Baddie, my co-host. You all right, Addie? You need a second?
I had a moment
Catch your breath.
on break. I, really embrace the rapper in me. The young Lil in me. And I acted out of character, but we're not going to reference that moment.
That's about right in character for you.
You got to fake it till you make it. It's raining right now. Shit's all fucked up. It's pouring out there right now.
Is it really?
For no reason.
I can't tell. We in this nice shelter, nice building.
Right, but...
when I was walking over here, I saw lightning crawl across the sky. And I had to put on the light cool jog. The I'm too cool to run, so I'm a speed walk. But I'm going to pump my arms like I'm running type of jog. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You pump the arms, but you just walking still.
Were you fronting for yourself? Jog. Like, what you doing that for?
Right.
Not getting you nowhere faster.
Exactly.
But it makes you feel better.
Yeah, exactly. But it's time for trending topics.
Okay.
All the juiciest news stories going on in the world, in the culture.
And they show is. All right, so.
We're going to talk about it.
We're going to jump the fuck right in. I'm going to jump into... All right, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell on the bill that calls into question this bill. The House is currently considering a bill called H.R. 40, a bill introduced by Republican Sheila Jackson Lee that would create a commission to study and develop proposals for slavery reparations. Basically, in response to this bill, and this is all pulled from Rolling Stone, hold up. Mitch McConnell says, "No, I don't think reparations are a good idea, blah, blah, blah." Then he called slavery something that happened 150 years ago,
right,
for whom none of us living are responsible. And the senator continued on to say that the Civil Rights Act and President Obama's election, it is proof of such measures.
Yo.
That such measures were unnecessary. So in response, I just got, because I don't know if you know Ta-Nehisi Coates, the young gifted black author.
That was he was testifying in court yesterday, in front of the Supreme Court yesterday.
He sure did. And I mean, wow, I'm just gonna read some of the stuff that he said because it is very freaking important that we all tune into what this man said. If you don't know Ta-Nehisi Coates, you're living under a rock and you don't read or you don't listen to audiobooks or you don't watch or look towards the internet. But I'm not gonna go
it's me.
any further.
I'm
okay,
niggas.
cool. So
I don't know
Ben,
I don't know Ta-Nehisi Coates.
If you're Ben, he authored He authored Between the World and Me. We Were 8 Years in Power.
Never heard of it.
Bestseller.
Never heard of it.
All that. Obama loves him, Oprah. So
there you go. So he's legit. He's legit.
Real legit. So basically, I'm just gonna read just a few statements here. He said, once he got to the hearing, he said, yes, when asked about reparations, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell offered a familiar reply. America should not be held liable for something that happened 150 years ago, especially since none of us currently alive are responsible. This rebuttal prefers a strange theory of governance, that American accounts are somehow bound by the lifetime of its generations. When well into this country, the United States was still paying out pensions to the heirs of Civil War soldiers. We honor treaties that date back some 200 years, despite no one being alive who signed those treaties. Many of us who would love to be taxed for the things we are solely and individually responsible for, but we are American citizens and thus bound to a collective enterprise that extends beyond our individual and personal reach. It would seem ridiculous to dispute invocations from the founders or the greatest generation on the basis of lack of membership in either group. We recognize our lineage as a generational trust, as an inheritance, and the real dilemma posed by reparations is just that, a dilemma of inheritance. Then he goes on, he goes on about how the entire basis of the American economy is cotton, which literally slaves were imported here to produce, beaten, murdered, killed for it. He also says that enslavement, sorry, let me go down to this one. He goes, okay, here we go. The typical black family in this country has 1/10 the wealth of a typical white family. Black women die in childbirth at 4 times the rate of white women. And there is, of course, the shame of this land of the free boasting the largest prison population on the planet, of which descendants of enslaved make up the largest share. The matter of reparations is one of making amends and direct redress, but it's also a question of citizenship. In H.R. 40, this body has a chance to make both good on its 2009 apology for enslavement and reject fair weather patriotism to say that the nation that this nation is both its credits and its debts. If Thomas Jefferson matters, so does Sally Hemings. That if D-Day matters, so does Black Wall Street. That if Valley Forge matters, so does Fort Pillow. Whatever Fort Pillow is, I gotta read on that. So basically, went in and just holding these niggas accountable, because I just really am so confused as to how you can fix your mouth to say that you are not responsible. And that's the problem with a lot of white people, that they really feel like they're not responsible, despite the fact that when they fall on hard times, they can go sit there and access the trust fund. And where do you think that comes from? That's why I be sitting there like, when I be looking at these buildings coming in Brooklyn and whatnot, I'm like, the reason why these buildings that are not making any money right now, that they could wait out gentrification until white people come, they sitting on slave money. That money didn't just pop out of nowhere. It wasn't because they worked hard for it. That's money that it really truly is a question of inheritance. It's truly a question of who has the cushion room, who has the financial power in this country to make decisions. And white people hoarded that for themselves on the backs of Black people. So even if reparations is not going to necessarily look like, oh, I'm giving you $100 and you get $1,000 or whatever, there needs to be policies that are acknowledging, genuine policies that are acknowledging and making amends for what was taken from Black Americans. And I feel like, I'm annoyed because I kind of don't really think they're going to do anything about it. But I think it's important for us to have this conversation. In the past, people laughed at this conversation as if it was something that was just so impossible and not supposed to happen. But I think it is really important. I think we're going to get into the weeds a lot with people, if they do say, all right, everybody who is Black American, descended of cattle slavery, you all get $1 million. You're going to find a lot of real fair-skinned Black people.
Yeah.
Blonde hair, blue-eyed, and Black.
Yep.
Coming out the woodwork.
Talking about my grandfather was Black. My great uncle, twice removed, was Black. I mean, the whole thing, it has been this one thing that like a lot of the Democratic candidates have been trying to run off of, talking about reparations and talking about trying to do something finally. In the end, I do think that no one's really going to do anything, because I don't think they're going to allow any type of bill to pass through Congress, through Supreme Court, that's going to benefit Black people and brown people and people of color in any way, shape, or form. Mitch McConnell is, for these comments, is absolutely delusional. And he is delusional because he's been drowning in his white privilege for the 77 years that he has been on this earth.
Right.
And to say that because we've elected a Black president, an African-American president, in the form of Barack Obama, to say that is the reparations? Are you serious? Are you kidding me? Like that's reparations right there. Because we got to say that we had a Black president.
The audacity.
The caucasity. The caucasity. To say something like that. Like that, this guy is completely delusional. And there's several ways, and to talk about how you can pay out reparations. There are several ways that you can give people reparations, even if you don't want to hand everyone a check. If you don't want to give people cash, if you don't want to give people money, you can give people land. Right. You can clear the debts of all those people.
You can cut them student loans.
Right. You could not cut. Clear that shit out. Because if you clear out the debt, then we all can have good credit, and then we'll all be on a level playing field.
Free healthcare.
Right. If you give us healthcare, if you give us housing that is just for us, if you give us a fair shot to get loans so we can get houses, to buy land, to start businesses. There's so many. Yes, a fair shot.
The fucking doubt. That's the biggest fucking benefit y'all have.
Right.
That's the biggest fucking benefit
if you give us the same damn APR that y'all giving to white people that walk in and get these loans, if you give those same fair shots to us, then that could be reparations. It doesn't necessarily have to be a lump sum of cash given to every Black person or every descendant of a slave or every person, however you want to decide to give it out. But you want to talk about, the people alive now aren't responsible for it. Well, the people alive now are sure as hell having a grand old time enjoying the system that was built off the backs of the slaves and off the backs of Black people that y'all brought over here when we was in Africa being kings and queens, minding our goddamn business. But you want to show up with a damn boat and start grabbing people and start bringing them over to other countries and forcing them into slavery. And let's not act like, we just talked about Juneteenth. Let's not act like you freed the slaves because you thought that it was the right thing to do. You freed the slaves because you needed bodies to fight against the Confederates.
Exactly, and you needed fucking votes to get an
exactly.
I think which party was it at the time? One of the parties needed votes. The party that was willing to do away with slavery.
Right.
Willing to do away with it.
So don't act like America has even begun to address
not even
the original sin of this country.
Nope.
Which is slavery.
And it is embedded in every single system that exists today. Like you said, when you don't have the benefit of the doubt, that means that laws that are used to enforce general order, to maintain order, become weapons against Black and brown people, become weapons against people who are disempowered. And because of the system that empowers white people to feel superior, for example, spending a month on the Holocaust, breezing by fucking slavery, breezing by the atrocities that white people have continued to commit against Black bodies for generations. You empower the white person coming into their understanding of their history, when their history is painted fucking white and doesn't actually tell the truth about the atrocities that they committed. But that's the problem. The conquerors are in control of what that history looks like. They tell the story.
Right, exactly.
And so it's important that we continue to tell these stories. And it's important that even though this bill will likely not get passed, that these conversations are being had.
Yeah.
Because this is all going to be filed away. This is all going to be archived evidence of what should have been. And we know that this is on the right side of history. And right now, these people are too old and too white to get it together. But I do have hope that another generation, if the current one doesn't fuck everything up, I do have hope that future generations are starting to see and are starting to have more information about the fact that their sweet America that they've had this idea of for so long is not that, and that there needs to be genuine structural apologies for the atrocities that were committed. So fuck you, McConnell.
I was so heated when I saw those comments.
Yeah,
it's like there's so many forms of reparations that you could give if you don't want to hand out cash. Like everybody wants to say, and it's the shame, and it disgusts me that sometimes I even hear Black people talking about, all y'all gonna do with reparations is go spend it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Give me the fucking check.
Exactly.
I don't give a shit what the hell I do with it.
Exactly.
And like I said, it doesn't have to be in a form of cash. It doesn't have to be in a form of a check. Give us land. Clear out all the descendants of the slaves. How about you go and you know how to run people's social security numbers. Clear out everybody's debt. Yep. All the students, give them free tuition.
Yep.
Clear out their student loans. Give them an equal opportunity to get loans to start businesses and buy houses and buy property and whatever else that we don't have a fair shot at getting.
I agree. And it's funny because when you present this to anybody in just theory, like if you say something like, okay, so basically your ancestor worked super, super hard and worked really, really hard and didn't get paid, right? And they, basically built everything that all of your friends have and that all of the people around you have, but you don't have access to it.
Right.
How would you, do you feel like you'd be entitled to having some of those spoils or some of that?
Listen, man.
If all the people around you who didn't actually do anything are receiving the benefit of it, what would you do? So even taking it outside of the context of slavery, just in terms of just labor but here's the problem. When you don't give a shit about Black people, it's really difficult for you to sit there and reason and use and apply logic to think about things like this. Because when historically this country has only seen Black people as inhuman and then 3/5 of a human, and then really always inhuman, and had always tried to use science and politics to justify it, we'll just never really have any fair shot.
Right.
And yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway.
All right. So
yeah, fuck him.
Right. All right. So the 9th mysterious death has taken place in
Ben's
Dominican
hometown.
Republic. That is Mr. Laurent Lewis's hometown, my father. Joseph Allen's brother is struggling to comprehend, and this is according to CNN, how his brother could have suddenly died while vacationing in the Dominican Republic. The 55-year-old New Jersey man had just received a clean bill of health, Jason Allen told HLN. Joseph Allen worked out with a trainer and had just finished fasting for the Muslim holiday of Ramadan. Nevertheless, Allen's family says he was found dead in his hotel room last week, making him at least the 9th U.S. tourist to die at a Dominican public resort after becoming ill at one over the past 13 months. Preliminary autopsy results suggest that he suffered from cardiac arrest. There were no signs of violence, according to the report, which Dominican authorities have provided to CNN. Man, this has been a very crazy couple of months, like they said, 13 months.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who like believes in conspiracy theories.
Okay.
I remember a time where people were saying not to go to Haiti because they're gonna kidnap you. And, they're going to cut you up and they're going to kill you and do all these bad things. And now you get on a plane going to Haiti, it's chock full of white people. And there's Asians buying land in Haiti. And there's white folks buying land in Haiti because of all the resources and all the natural riches that is on the land.
Yep.
So it's hard for me to kind of separate these incidents and kind of say like, these are just a resort. Because this is an argument as well. These are resorts. People are getting sick from the cheap liquor that these resorts are buying. So these resorts could be trying to cut costs by buying cheap liquor, and the cheap liquor is in fact killing people. I don't even
think it's liquor. I think it's something else.
I think
it's some type of...
The conspiracy theorist in me believes that there is a vast amount of riches in DR that the colonizers want to get to. And they want to start making deals with the country so that they can help. And how do you start making deals with the country? First, they have to struggle financially. The same way they cut out Haiti in all types of exports and all types. They cut out Haiti economically, and Haiti started struggling, and that put them in the situation they are in now. And they manipulated the government and did all types of things to Haiti to kind of...
Here's a theory.
Right. So they're probably starting and trying to do the same thing to the Dominican Republic. Because if there's oil and gold and all that kind of stuff in Haiti, then it's got to be in the Dominican Republic because they are attached. So I think the conspiracy theorist in me thinks that these are things that maybe they're paying the locals to do, and maybe they could just be, like I said, paying the locals to do, paying these resorts to do. They could be orchestrating these incidents to scare people and hurt the tourism industry, because in an island like Dominican Republic, their biggest export is tourism. So if you hurt the tourism industry, they start struggling for money, and then in comes the European countries and say, we can help you, we can save you in the form of giving us some land, and this land that we're going to ask for happens to have oil underneath, or happens to have gold in it, or happens to have any other sort of natural resources that can make us richer. So that's just my theory. Or it could just be a coincidence that, I don't know, maybe the liquor, the cheap liquor is killing people. I don't know.
I don't put nothing past this country. It's crazy to me that people don't actually...
Not just this country, just European people. Yeah. The European countries in general. All of the allies to America, they're all working in cahoots.
Yeah, they've always had historically a scavenger type of economy.
Right.
Where they bottom feed off of people with natural resources. So I'm not surprised. And, so that's an interesting theory. I actually hadn't heard of that yet. I haven't heard of that yet.
That's original.
But
Ben. That's a Ben Talks original. You know what I'm saying? The mind,
God.
Come on.
But even then, I think a lot of people really should be. I don't want to say like, don't go to like somebody's country, but they've been really violating black people and having a lot of like, they've been murdering black people and trying to cleanse the race, and there's been a lot of like reports of like extreme racism.
Another thing that I feel is being orchestrated.
I don't know. I mean, I do think, orchestrated to the degree that all countries all across the fucking world have been fucked up by white standards of beauty and and really value. We've been all brainwashed to see whiteness as superior.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, white people literally came to Africa because they couldn't do it. Like they couldn't do it on their own. So like, it's just, the irony there is huge. But it doesn't matter. It has a lingering effect across all countries. And in a place like the Dominican Republic, which is racially diverse, ranging from white presenting people to black presenting people. Dominican Republic has always had the rap of like being like the black Latino country. Yeah. And I know that there are a lot of Dominicans of fairer skin that are not happy about that. And there have been historically a lot of ways that Black people have been disenfranchised. They've been deporting Black people back. They've been deporting Black people who've never lived in Haiti.
To Haiti.
To Haiti, like literally who don't speak any Creole, don't speak nothing else but Spanish, who've grown up in the Dominican Republic their whole life just so that they can get rid of Black people in the country. And some of my Black friends who have been there to the country as tourists, they've experienced like a lot of racism as well. But I'm not trying to say that this is just unique to the Dominican Republic. Racism happens everywhere, but I do think that there is something specifically targeted and kind of ruthless that's happening right now to Black presenting people in the Dominican Republic.
I mean, at the end of the day, like whatever's causing it is like, it's still like scary. It's still like crazy that people imagine going on vacation and you're not able to return back to your family.
Yeah.
You know, like the situation is still like really sad and it's still really bad. Like I hope whatever is causing this gets figured out soon. But I don't put it past like the conspiracy theory that I thought of. I don't put it past that actually happening, and we're gonna see in a few months or weeks that, you know, certain countries and certain types of people are buying land in the Dominican Republic and mining for all their rich natural resources.
That is probably the smartest thing you thought of in like
I don't know how to feel. I don't know how I should feel about that. If that's the smartest thing that I thought of, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I thought to bring you on as a co-host. I feel like that was a pretty smart move.
I don't know about that because you're getting dragged every week. So.
Damn. Well, we got good chemistry.
Yeah. Well, I also thought we were best friends, though.
Yeah, I've never used that term in my life. So.
Well, you're gonna use it today.
Maybe.
See?
No, wait. Today? No. Eventually.
He said it.
Eventually.
It's here. You heard it live, right here on Ben Talks Radio. Addie Talks. Ben and Addie Talks.
Hey, whoa, hey, ooh, relax. Okay.
Wow. Silent.
Oh man.
Ben silences Black women.
Whoa, yo, chill.
Ben silences me. He's telling me to chill. No. He's telling me to chill now. How dare he?
Listen, Ben Lewis is a friend to Black women and Black queens everywhere.
All right, we gotta move on.
I love y'all. Oh, now we gotta move on. I'm trying to plead my case.
It's time.
No, we gonna move on.
All right,
but
we're gonna move on.
I love
Tory
Black
Lanez.
women. Let's just throw that out there.
Tory Lanez. All right, so Tory Lanez is the young, bald-headed.
Why you have to say that?
Talented, small.
It's
Canadian
a shame that he's restoring his headline. So don't do that.
I mean, you
got that Beijing in it, or whatever
ain't
it's
nothing wrong
called.
with being bald-headed. We all been bald-headed. Well,
shit.
I never been bald-headed.
I was born with
I was born with Rapunzel hair, you know.
Your boy was born with a full head of hair.
But then I went to the hairdresser, and then they put chemicals in my hair, so my mom had to cut it off. But before y'all knew me, my hair was mad long. That's the story every Black girl has. You didn't even see me when my hair was like down in my back. But then I went to the hairdresser. And she did something fucked up because she was jealous of me. She was just jealous of me.
Right?
She cut my hair. Don't you love that? Tail is old as time.
Oh my God.
Anyway, back to Tory, the bald-headed ass.
Yo.
His talented bald-headed ass.
But he is talented.
He's very talented. Yeah. Tory Lanez has recently made a series of interesting decisions within his own personal life. From starting beefs with, or maybe finishing beefs with unknown artists and pressing them, to canceling Ayesha Curry replace.
That was a fail.
Suggesting that we should replace Ayesha Curry for this twerking white woman on social media.
This nigga all over the place.
He's been in the news for less than savory.
He's been all over the goddamn place.
For less than savory news. You know? And you know, it's unfortunate because he's, once again, really talented young man.
Very talented.
Can't take that away from him. But more recently, a video surfaced of him in which he was in a video shoot and someone caught behind the scene footage of him dancing in the video with a dark-skinned woman, and then a light-skinned woman coming into the scene and replacing the dark-skinned woman. And Tory Lanez going, time out. We're not doing that. Bring the dark-skinned girl back. So that was great. That was a great news for him, especially considering all of his recent not so great PR moves. So, you know, but of course it didn't take too long for people to question the authenticity of that clip and to ask questions like, why was this staged? How was this released now? Like, people had questions about the validity of the video and whether or not it was telling the full picture or the full story. And then what happened was that the model that was in the video,
the light skin one,
was it the light skin one?
Yeah.
Okay, so
she was the one that she was the one that said that the whole joint was staged.
Yeah. So the light skinned woman who was pictured in the video said that that
was swapped out for the dark skinned woman.
She said that it was staged and that's not actually what happened, and so of course there was Tory Lanez was back in the news for not being Tory Lanez was back in the news for taking another L. However, Tory Lanez then rebutted and said that it was in fact a real story, and that the video had been taken 3 months ago. And that it wasn't until a friend of his hit him up, who happened to catch that footage, sent it to him, that he then reposted it. Mm-hmm. So of course, who knows, right? Like, I mean, who knows?
The thing,
who actually knows like what is real and what is not in Hollywood? Because PR people get paid a lot of money to tell the story they want to be told.
Yes.
About the artist, and when an artist is drowning in decisions that are made, that they make, or decisions that are made around them, and that's affecting their image.
Right.
There's lots of stories that can be spun, so I don't think it's ridiculous that anybody would make up something like that. But I do want to believe that he didn't make it up if he's saying that he didn't. So I'll just leave it at that.
I mean, it's a tough situation, man, because Tory Lanez, like you said, man, he's been in the news for a lot of corny stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of corny stuff. Like, I remember way back when he ran down on, I forget what rapper it was, but he ran down on him.
Who really wasn't about that life.
Dax. Yeah. And when he was like, because when Tory Lanez initially put out a challenge to every up and coming artist, and every artist, period, that said, I'm the best rapper, come challenge me. And a bunch of people were responding, a bunch of big names were responding. But he ran down on the up-and-coming guy, the underground guy, with the camera and was like, I want you to apologize.
Yeah.
So that was real corny. And then just Tory Lanez has been linked to a bunch of other corny stuff. And again, this was a moment where we could be like, all right, Tory, like, you got your head on your shoulders, you're doing the right thing. And then to hear him being accused of staging this entire incident, it's kind of believable because of all the corny shit that Tory Lanez has been linked to in the past. So I hope that, colorism in Hollywood and entertainment is an issue in itself that people need to address and people need to rectify, because
period,
some of the most beautiful women I've ever seen are dark skinned. Okay, so there's no difference.
Well, Ben, come on
now,
control yourself.
I'm gonna try.
I know. I look like Kelly Rowland. If you squint your eye, hop on one leg. I'm gonna try to control myself. But no, colorism in entertainment industry is absolutely something that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be handled. And it's gonna take for artists and actors and entertainers to say something about it when they see it happening. Yeah. So on the surface, this was something great for Tory Lanez to do, but now it's kind of scarred and stained because he's accused of it being fake, and we've seen Tory Lanez do some corny shit before. So now we don't know if it was genuine or not. But we hope we hope it was. We do hope it was.
I mean, the intent was real.
We hope it was, and we hope that nobody's using. And because this is the definition of gaslighting dark-skinned women, or gaslighting black women in general, to make it believe like we're on the same page, or we're like really fighting the same cause, and you're just like exploiting it for your own personal gain. It's just a very white thing to do, and straight black men are often accused of being the white people of black people, and this would be quite the example of that. So I really hope that that's not true. So anyway, are we heading into Sudan? So should I start this off?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so if you once again are living under a rock, if you are, in prison for any reason where there's no television,
I don't know. You seen these prison dudes on social media? I seen one with 100-piece wing order from Zatarans. Yo, bro,
you living better than me. But if you don't know, there's been a series of uprisings, and there's been a huge rebellion in Sudan. And basically, this all started in December when the long-term dictator and president, but really operating as a dictator.
Right. How many years? Has this
He
guy
was
been
there. He was a president for 30 years since 1989. Omar al-Bashir. He was corrupt, obviously, and protesters wanted him out. And so, surprisingly, they actually were able to get him out. Mm-hmm. And in the time where he was out, usually when there's a regime shift, the military kind of takes over operations within any nation state. That's usually how it works.
Yeah.
And basically, protesters were basically saying that his removal is just kind of scratching the surface of what really needs to be done, because if elections happen immediately after a dictator or president, whoever, is ousted, usually what happens is that the person with the most power, second in command, or whoever is able to gain the most military control or fiscal control within a region, can basically bully their way into secession, into being the successor of that previous regime. And so that's exactly what happened.
Right.
Basically, Omar al-Bashir, the president, was then replaced by Army General. His name, I think that he goes by the name of Hemedti. Name is Hemedti. Mm-hmm. And he is terribly corrupt, and he's basically he gaslit, another example of gaslit. He gaslit the Sudanese people into thinking that, okay, well, yeah, you know what, sure. They had some talks, and they was like, yeah, well, I think back in April, they were like, yeah, let's get to a place of understanding. And so they had some talks and discussions, and they were like, all right, yeah, sure, we'll play by your rules. We'll do a fair election in 3 years. We'll give, his regime time to disband. We'll give that time to kind of separate so that real Democratic candidates can have a shot at running an office in an uncorrupt political process. So they had agreed to that, and everybody was chilling. Everybody was fucking chilling. And then, of course, they turned their back on that. And in June, they started fucking raising hell. They had thrown away all of those conversations and were like, we're not doing it anymore. They started raping people. They raping children.
Oh, jeez.
They murdered countless people. Countless people have been in prison.
Yeah. And
the craziest thing about the guy who's currently in power, or the guy who's basically running things right now, I believe his name once again is Hemedti. I'm not seeing it in this article, but I believe it's Hemedti. And he has been accused of being a part of the Janjaweed, which was the government-backed militia that was basically killing black people in Darfur throughout the early 2000s. So I don't know if you remember Darfur.
Yeah, I
back
remember.
then, where they were once again
0304 around that time.
Yeah, another once again genetic cleansing, because once again European ideals and principles have been indoctrinated into us to make us believe that blackness is the lowest form of existence.
Yep.
And so thus causing many countries to want to cleanse black people from their communities. He was part of that organized crime and an attack on black people. And now that guy is now in power, raising hell against people who he sat down with. Literally had a conversation, just like the bitches I had a conversation with in my roommates, where we sat down, had a conversation, and then bitches went ahead and turned their back and did some passive aggressive shit. Except this was some aggressive shit. This is not no passive aggressive shit.
Right.
But really, the most important thing here is, what do we do and how do we actually support?
Yeah, because it's so easy, because this issue in particular is gotten a lot of people to show their support by putting the blue eye, the color is like a light blue or something like that, on their Instagram icons. And we do live in a time where it's so easy to kind of be a social media activist, but I think it is upon all of us to kind of find ways that we could actually support, find ways to bring awareness to the issue, and find ways to get these issues in front of the people that actually have power, in front of the people that can actually make a difference and actually make things happen. So don't just be a social media activist,
right?
Is my thing.
Exactly.
But it's extremely sad what's going on over there, for sure.
Exactly. And, I was connected with really great resources. There's this master document that's going around on Google Drive that's called Sudan Uprising Master Document. So appropriately named, which basically lists all the articles and videos you should watch so you can get aware of the situation and what's happening. Right. It also lists podcasts you can listen to, funding and petition initiatives, and vetted places that you can donate to. So where like people are literally posting receipts of them delivering the money to the communities that need it.
Yeah.
Because another thing that's happening right now is that the man in power, he basically has cut off all internet and all forms and channels of communication in the country.
Sheesh.
So people cannot communicate with people out in between the country. TV is running a steady. They've basically controlled all of the waves, radio waves, TV waves, which are just pushing out propaganda.
Yeah.
Anything that is brought towards him or against him that is genuine, that are genuine claims about the things that he's done, he's calling fake news.
Yeah.
Like his white cousin.
Yeah, right.
His white cousin.
So it's
Trump.
typical dictator stuff.
Yeah.
Typical dictator behavior.
Exactly. So
This makes me feel guilty because I was definitely watching the movie The Dictator the other night, and I was crying laughing. Sacha Baron Cohen. I mean that movie's hilarious, and now I feel guilty because dictatorship is not funny.
Right. But we can laugh at it for now.
Right. But no, we definitely need to make sure that firstly we're aware of these kind of things going on in the world, and do our best to find proper ways to help and proper ways to make a difference.
I agree, and it really isn't. It's really not. None of this is funny, and it's like sad because you'll see the international response to tragedies that happen in countries where they value those bodies and they value those people. But it seems as though when you have even a drop of color in you, even if you are
it's like,
even a territory of the United States, Puerto Rico, the way they did them,
we didn't see it.
They were like, no, too dark for us. You would just get nothing from, no real rallying, no real funding, no real show of support. And basically what they said they need is that they need, what U.S. could do if they wanted to, is that they could say that their troops and their allies can put pressure on the government to stop, but they haven't done that. So it's like you go into every country telling people what to do, but when the time comes for you to show up and step up and use all this power that you sat here and hoarded to yourself, what are you gonna do? Because we're part of a global community, and yet you claim to have all of this. You claim to be the best nation in the world, the most amazing nation in the world, and it's just like, how could you sit back and allow these things to happen, especially when you have the resources that you stole from everyone else to fix it. So
exactly. Well, hopefully this could get resolved in the next coming weeks or months, and things don't get too much worse.
Yeah.
So Facebook now has its own cryptocurrency called Libra. Facebook plans, and this is according to Vox.com, Facebook plans for Libra to start with people who have limited access to traditional banks. Facebook says its motivation for making Libra is primarily as a service to the developing world and the parts of the developed world where it's difficult to access a bank. People with less money pay more for financial services. Hard-earned income is eroded by fees from remittances and wire costs to overdraft and ATM charges. Payday loans can charge annualized interest rates of 400% or more, and finance charges can be as high as $30 just to borrow $100. The goal is financial inclusion on a global scale, subsidized by Facebook's might and its enormous user base. And all this means to me is that these Facebook hoes and models is gonna be asking for all types of money from you.
That's what you got from it?
That's what I got from it. Nigga, like, send me 200 on Libra. I'll send you some nudes.
The new back page.
Yeah, right? That's what it's gonna be. Facebook is trying to take over the world.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, on one hand, I'm shocked, because when I heard it, I didn't realize that they were. I'm sorry. Let me speak in the mic. When I heard it, I didn't realize that their target demographic was lower income people, which is commendable. But then it's just like, you just
sounds nice.
Sounds nice, but then sorry, gotta charge me. Oh, thank you. We got Kevin. Shout out to Kevin. Shout out to Kevin, our videographer. So yeah, we have people. Sorry, no other thing. All right, sorry. So it sounds nice, but Facebook just has way too much power. I think the last thing they need is currency, and it makes sense though. Structurally, they do have the most access technically to everyone across the world than most other like branches of anything. Think about it. Like, who else is as connected as Facebook? So it's just like, in theory, you would be the perfect person to do something like this. But we already know that absolute power corrupts absolutely. I learned that in social studies in the 4th grade.
Well, during social studies, I was taking naps. So
yeah, shows.
Well, I don't. You tell me when you've ever used social studies in your adult life. Yeah, exactly.
To evaluate and assess.
Anywho, I mean,
social and historical climates.
Please, but nah, them Facebook hoes is gonna find a new way of trapping now. That's really all I got.
That's all that
this.
Ben could think about.
That's all I could think about.
Ben is scared.
You know what I'm saying? You try to slide in a DM on the messenger, they're gonna be like, yo, you can't even talk to me unless you got 30 Libra bucks. Okay?
Ben trying to stack up his Libra coins.
Listen, I need to get on it now when it's just starting out.
Wow.
So that I can stack up. So I can slide in some DMs and get some nudes. Because after a while, they're trying to legalize prostitution, and then this is coming out. It's a wrap. We're not gonna be able to talk to nobody no more.
You shouldn't. Y'all ain't had nothing to say for centuries.
Oh please.
So y'all got to start paying up.
Addy, you love niggas.
Nah. Right? Look. Hold up. Love is a strong word.
Hey, come on now. You can't live without us.
I'm dealing with a very challenging issue.
You can't live without us.
A genetic issue.
And what is the genetic issue?
Heterosexuality.
I don't know if that's an issue to begin. Like nobody's sexuality.
I was indoctrinated under the heterosexual agenda. I don't believe that this is my rightful sexuality. I believe that I want my money back.
Hey, it's 2019. You could come back next week and be me. All right. That's all I'm saying.
Well, unfortunately, my brain, the damage is done. My brain has been programmed and wired to entertain bullshit from men, particularly black men, and it's unfortunate.
It's about who will give you less bullshit to entertain. And that, my friend, is the secret to true happiness.
All right, well, whenever you find her, let me know. Anyway, we're going to move on.
Yes, we're going to take a quick break. That is our trending topic segment. We want to thank our videographer, Kevin, of course, for holding it down. Thank you all for tuning in. It's Radio Free Brooklyn. It's Ben Talks, Best in the World, Ben Lewis. My co-host, Addie the Baddie.
And best friend.
We'll be right back with this music break.
Lifestyle. Luxury.